What is going on, everybody? It is Brent Abel here at webtennis.com. Hope you're having a great start to the day so far, wherever you are. Of course, if you're on the East Coast, you've been into it for a few hours. We're out here in the West Coast, the California Desert, Rancho Mirage, the Mission Hills Country Club, and wow, we've got some serious wind today. We could talk about how to play in the wind. All right, I'll mention that in just a second to you. Don't let me forget. I want to. Today, we're going to really talk about what I think are kind of the 7 elements of serving an ace, right? And I should kind of condition that by saying, or I should add to that title, the 7 elements of an unintentional ace, which to me is like the whole key, the whole mental key to being able to hit an ace, to be able to hit a winner, to whatever it is. But before we get into that, a couple things. I've got a free course for you for your topspin second serve. If yours is not misbehaving, maybe too many double faults, or that second serve is just sitting up over there begging that returner, singles or doubles, to unload, kind of take advantage. What I've got for you is about a 20-minute free video instructional course. Free meaning like no charge on me. I got you covered on this one. All you got to do to get to that course, just go over to webtennis.com. And the link is actually in the description area down below, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. And just click it, drop in a first name, email address. You'll get access to that free topspin second serve course. We got to get some more racket head speed, right? We got to develop some power on that topspin serve, so that once it does arrive over there, it actually's got to bounce, right? We got to get worst case, a high bounce out of that topspin second serve, keep the point neutral. And if you're a young buckette, right, and you've got some flexibility and some swing speed, man, you can make that thing kick and make it nasty. So again, webtennis.com is where you can pick up that free course. Guys, one more thing, if you are really into what we talk about here at Web Tennis, is whether it's technique, whether it's tactics, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, all those are kind of the 4. The 5th pillar is kind of experiences, is to make sure that, once you're working on those first 4 things, the 5th thing is experiences, getting out there on a regular basis to be able to figure out the first 4, right? And you can sit and watch videos all day long. You can try to intellectualize the game to death. But at some point, the learning really happens in matches. And so anyway, that's that. If you love all that stuff, then be sure, if you're over at YouTube, to hit the subscribe button so that you get notified every time I upload some new content. And look, if you're into serving, if you really want to work on your serve some more, then go ahead and click the like button, just so that others know that this is kind of a deal we got to work on. All right. With that said, guys, let's get into it today. And one thing about the wind is, gosh, I'm thinking right now as I'm looking outside and it's blowing. Man, these palm trees are just working overtime right now. I think in the beginning, when I first got here to the desert, which was, when we bought our house here in 2013, I started playing a lot down here in the wintertime. We'd get some windy days, and I just went, oh, man, I don't want to go out there and play. And then I finally realized that wait a minute, I need to go out there and have a great day. I need to go out there and enjoy these elements. I need to go out there and enjoy how this is a different deal. I mean, we like I just said, with the fifth dimension, the fifth thing about the pillars of the game, which is experiences. It's one thing to go to your club every day or your tennis facility every day and play one of 3 guys that you play all the time on maybe the same court. Maybe there's just a couple of courts at your facility you play it all the time, and you only play under certain conditions, right? And I mean, indoors, that's happening, right? The conditions are given. But the beauty of getting more experiences, and one of the things would be wind, is that you learn to figure out how to play in the wind. I mean, everyone's going to tell you, well, do this, don't do that. look, the only way you can figure out how to play in the wind is to actually get out and practice in the wind and just settle into it and realize, look, the old cliche is it's the same for the other guy, the other gal over there. Okay, what does that mean? Oh, that doesn't help you in terms of how do you maybe take advantage of it. So yeah, there you go, man. You got to get out there and get those experiences, and one of them would be make sure you're playing in the wind. You're just not bailing out and not playing. Guys, let's get into today's thing. I want to talk to you about an ace, a serve ace. And I've got 7 things I want you to be thinking about. And here we go. So number 1 is, God, I've been trying to get, there's a session I want to spend with you guys on clarity, CLARITY, and how we need to really kind of wipe the slate clean from the last point that just finished, and what we do. And it's that 80% of the match, right, that's spent between points. And so how do we get clarity? How do we use that 80% of the match time between points and on side changes? How do we use that to get clarity? And so I'll do it next week. But I've got some more thoughts other than just, the 4-part between points routine that I use. But so we're going to spend some time on that. But the first thing here is when you are lining up to hit this serve, right? Is when I'm bouncing the ball, once or twice. And for me, I used to have way too many bounces. I look at Novak and I go, oh my God, man, what's he got? Like a dozen bounces. It just seems crazy that I don't know. Obviously, no one knows what he's thinking about at that point. But for me, I like to go through a bounce or two. And at this point, before I look up, really what I'm thinking about is okay, what's going to be my target? Right? What kind of serve am I going to hit? So I'm thinking of direction. I'm thinking of height over the net in terms of spin, or in this case, sort of the deuce court. I could be thinking, I'm either going tee, I'm going body, or I'm going out wide. And so I've got to have crystal clarity on that target and not be thinking about, well, if I'm going tee on this thing, I wonder if he's guessing that that's where I'm going. I'm wondering if maybe, because what happens when you start to do that is right about in here. If you're thinking T, is right about here when you start to go in the toss motion. You start to go T. No. Maybe he's thinking that now. He's probably anticipating that. Maybe I should go wide. And now you're just screwed. So what you've got to come out with first is just a clear vision of your target. And for me, it used to be a spot on the other side of the court. I used to be thinking, well, as I'm going tee, I'm actually, when I look up from bouncing the ball, I'm looking through the net, through an obstacle at my target, right? Or if I'm going out wide, I'm looking through the net at it. That's just, to me, it's just kind of a visual. It's just confusing. So if I'm thinking tee, as I am on this serve, all I'm thinking about is, well, I might be thinking about what's the height over the center strap, right? We've got our center strap right here. What's the height I want the ball to travel over that? Or maybe I'm thinking, if I really want to go closer towards the tee, what's the height to the right of the center strap I want the ball to pass through? And I just trust the depth, right? I don't trust that I have to actually bring the ball back down, because the swing technique adds spin. Look, let's be honest. We always talk about a second serve with a lot of spin. Well, the only difference between the first serve and second serve is just the amount of spin. Unless you're 7 feet tall, unless you're Riley Opelka, you really don't. And I don't think even at 7 feet tall, you geometrically at the top of your reach have a direct line over the top of the net to the service line. I still think Riley Opelka still has to put some spin on that ball to help bring it back down. So for me, I'm just thinking about what's the height I want the ball to pass over the net. And I could use the reference as the center strap, or let's say a foot to the right of it. All right, so that's thing one, is being super clear about your target. And the next thing I'm doing is I'm thinking about loose fingers. I'm just checking to make sure, do I have a relaxed grip? Because if I'm going to go for a first serve, I'm going for a target, if I want to get some speed on this thing, I can't be grippy. It's got to be relaxed. Thing number three is I got to make sure that I assume, no matter how good a serve that I hit, that it's coming back. I'm never ever thinking, I'm going to ding this thing so gosh darn big, there's no way it's coming back. And the reason that if you start thinking that, you're going to be disappointed if you've served enough times there, or if your opponent guesses, or maybe you put your toss, maybe this toss right here is in a spot that this just telegraphs to that opponent where your intended target is, right? The ball is here. Maybe for whatever reason, when you toss here, you're always going T, right? Maybe if you want to go to the body, maybe you toss somewhere different. I don't know. But just because you're thinking, well, I'm going to make sure that this thing doesn't come back, I'm going to hit an ace, you know what? You may be giving away the target, obviously without verbally telling them what you're doing. So you've got to assume it's coming back. The fourth thing is tempo in the tossing motion. All right, tempo meaning what's the consistent speed of your arm going up, right? So in slow motion, it's pretty easy to show you that there's sort of a certain speed, right? But what I try to feel is that once I come down here, and I think a long time ago, someone mentioned to me, there's no value in a fast tossing. There's no value in a fast tossing motion, right? The whole purpose of the tossing motion is to do two things. Number one is to consistently put the ball where you want it. That's number one, right? But number two is to put you into the swing setup position. Before I saw Mr. Stowe, hold on for one sec. Honey, I'll call you right back. One of the kids, one of the girls. Before I saw Mr. Stowe, I would kind of quickly get here, kind of release the ball and stop the motion, stop the tossing motion. Didn't really finish it. So two bad things. Number one, I was inconsistent with the toss, but number two, I never got into the proper swing setup position, right? So I want you to feel that there's a rhythm. There is a rhythm in the tossing motion, and that it starts with once that arm comes down, to your thigh, the arm kind of starts to straighten out. You can't see it, obviously, but the ball's down around my thigh. I try to straighten the arm. And once I go up, I try to feel like there's sort of two parts to the tossing tempo. It's before releasing, and then after the ball goes up, I got to make sure that I continue the rhythm so that I finish with the tossing arm straight up, right? So tempo is a consistent speed from when you start the motion to when you finish it. The fifth thing for me is to make sure that my toss is in front of me. If I was to allow this ball to drop, it would not drop obviously it wouldn't drop on top of me. It wouldn't drop behind me. It wouldn't drop in the baseline. It would actually drop inside the court, whatever that is, maybe just a foot, but enough so that I can generate racket speed behind the back and up and out in front. So you got to work on making sure that, and I think this ends up being an attempted serve and volley, which is really, if you're thinking serve and stay back, your toss instinctively will be too far back. Serve and stay back ought to be serve and stay forward. Not serve and volley, but should be serve and stay forward in here. So your toss is in front. You get a little extra nanosecond to generate some racket head speed. And you challenge this opponent, this returner, to consistently hit the ball here in the fly. Look, lots of times I'll serve out wide. I'm not serving and volleying, but I'll end up in here inside the baseline, a foot or so. And I hope the guy takes his forehand over there, if it's a righty, and dings it right at me. Do I have any kind of a problem playing a transitional volley from this part of the court? I don't. So, look, slightly off topic there. So, tosses out in front. And then from here, all I'm thinking about is, like we talked about before, the first serve still has to have some spin, right? You got to be able to have some spin to hit up. I mean, you got to be able to hit up to get the spin you want so that you create the downward path of the ball, right? The spin actually helping you bring the ball back down inside the court. So all I'm thinking about here is tosses in front, and I'm going to take my racket shoulder and initiate that as the upward part, little bit of knee bend, little bit of jumping up with the legs, and making sure that the trajectory starts slightly up. I want to make sure that at contact, this is not the highest part of my reach. Maybe there's an extra half inch afterwards to ensure that the serve is going up, right? And look, I'm assuming, totally assuming that this is not a serve and volley. This is actually a serve and stay forward. Serve and stay forward. We're going to claim that term. Serve and stay forward. And only reason I'm moving forward is because I see a gut. If he reaches out, and if my opponent can actually reach and somehow last second make a play, I want to make sure that I'm looking for that, right? That it's a possibility. And the last thing is that, look, this is just 1 point. Do not get greedy and start to think the next time you serve from the deuce court that you're going to ding this thing, that you're going to ding it again. Your chances are you're not. So there you have it. A lot of blabbing this morning. 17 minutes into it. Wow. Hope this has helped. And you know what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and make a little PDF on these notes, kind of give you, if you want, I can send you the notes I took today. All you got to do is just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. Or you can go ahead and you can direct message me over at Facebook. That will work as well. And I'll get this thing to you. I'm actually driving up to the Bay Area today from Southern California. So if I can get to it this morning, I will. If not, it'll be at some point tomorrow. But if you want the notes on those 7 things, let me know. And Owen McIntosh, the big O, loose grip, loose arm, quiet upper body, head behind the ball, just like hitting a driver. I don't know, man. I'm not a golfer, right? You are. But those are all the right things. The grip has got to be relaxed to be able to get swing speed, right? Players, way too often players are thinking strength, strong, maybe if I get in the gym and do a whole ton of weights for the next 30 days, I'll get a bigger serve. You'll probably get a slower serve. You won't have any flexibility. So think about, one of the things I love to do is stretch out my shoulders. And I do that. I've been doing that for the last 3 months by hanging off one of those chin-up bars. About 3 months ago, I ordered something from Amazon, and I got one of those chin-up bars that you put between a door jamb, and I do it 2 or 3 times a day, right? I hang there. In the beginning, it was brutal. In the beginning, I felt like my shoulders were just going to explode. I wasn't really hanging because I put it at a height where I could actually get up on my tiptoes and kind of, hang there a little bit off my tiptoes. But I found a way to really kind of, not be standing where there wasn't any kind of hanging going on. And it's kind of amazing. In the last 3 months, I now can reach up there and I don't need my tiptoes. So I feel like I've regrown an inch, right? Where I used to be 5'10". I think I went to the doctor a couple of years ago. He said, man, you're 5'9". I said, what? I've been 5'10" forever. And he kind of looked at me like, hey, welcome to the club. That's what happens when you get a little bit older. So look, if you want to get a little bit more racket speed on your serve, one way to do it is to loosen up your shoulders. Look, the tennis we play, if you're playing a lot, that's a strength building activity. And you need to make sure that your shoulders stay good and loose and stretched out. And one way you can do that is with that chin up bar just hanging off of it. Guys, that's it for me today. I do have a free 20-minute topspin course available for you. It's down below in the comments. No, the description area. There's a link. Go over to webtennis.com, drop in a first name, email address. You will get access to that course. Guys, hope you liked today's video. If you did, would really appreciate a like, a share. That would be awesome. And that's it for me. Guys, as always, get out there. They help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, I'll see you again tomorrow.